If your strategy in love is don't rock the boat, don't be surprised when you forget who you are. Peace at the cost of self isn't peace. If you have to shrink yourself to be loved, that isn't love, it's survival. And survival slowly turns into self betrayal. This video is about the silent ways men abandon themselves in relationships, not because they're weak, not because they don't care, but because they mistake endurance for love. And if you don't see it early, it quietly erodes your sense of self, your desire, and eventually, the connection itself. I've lived this, not dramatically, not explosively, quietly. I called it patience. I called it understanding. I called it being the bigger man. But what I really was doing was slowly editing myself out of the relationship. My humor was often taken the wrong way, so I adjusted it. Not because I was trying to deceive anyone, but because I didn't want to be disrespectful. During conflict, instead of calling out behavior that hurt me, I'd think, this isn't going to go well, so I stayed quiet. Not out of fear, but because I didn't want escalation. I wanted things to smooth over. And over time, quiet became my default. Over time, I became more accommodating, less expressive. I stopped taking space even when lines were crossed. I told myself I was being loving, patient, understanding. But what I really was doing was shrinking, not speaking my truth, not naming my needs, not saying that hurt or that's not okay for me. And the cost didn't show up as anger. It showed up as quiet frustration, loss of desire, a dull kind of hurt, because I was working so hard to understand her while slowly realizing I didn't feel understood myself. And the lie I used to justify it was simple. This is just what love requires. I don't need to add pressure. She's struggling right now. That lie sounds noble, but over time it turns into something else. Here's the part most men don't want to admit. I wasn't staying quiet for peace. I was staying quiet because being fully real felt too exposing. If I showed up completely, if I didn't soften myself, edit myself, manage myself, I was afraid she wouldn't accept me. Not because I wanted to hurt her, not because I was trying to dominate, but because being fully seen felt confronting without any intention to harm. So I chose endurance over truth, adjustment over authenticity, survival over connection, and this is the silent killer. When you abandon yourself long enough, you don't just lose the relationship, you lose clarity about who you are inside it. Now, let me be clear, this isn't about blaming her. Most men don't shrink because they're weak, they shrink because they're trying to love without losing connection. But love that requires self-erasure isn't love. It's fear wearing the mask of loyalty, and the cost is always the same. You stay small in the familiar because the uncertainty of being fully yourself feels more frightening than the grief of losing yourself slowly. If this landed, here's the truth I want you to sit with. Peace that requires you to disappear will eventually destroy your self-worth. Real love doesn't ask you to vanish. It asks you to show up, imperfect, human, and honest. So don't rush past this. Ask yourself one honest question tonight. Where have I been shrinking to keep the peace? You don't need to fix anything yet. Just notice it. And if you're willing, write it in the comments. Not for me, but to stop lying to yourself. Yes, that risk rejection, but it also makes real connection possible. Not endurance, not silence, not survival. Presence.